Hi there, my name is Aaron Short. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. How's everyone doing? Great to be here again today. Another week on the planet. Speaking about the planet, it is Earth Day? And we have a new release from Martin Guitar and our friend Robert Getzel. So we'll show that. We'll discuss that in a little bit. And some news about a rumored pedal, quite big news on the gear in the gear world coming up as well. Aside from that, not much news. Couple of things happening probably in the next 4 to 12 weeks, which I'm really excited about and will definitely be focusing on the channel. I can't really talk about that at the moment because there's not a lot of definite dates yet, but until that time comes, we'll just keep on with the Q&A and let me know if you've seen anything this week. If you've had anything happen this week you want to discuss, let me know. And any questions, put them in the chat. Before we get started, please do subscribe and ring the bell. I really appreciate it. Just had a new subscriber as we went live. And I want to say thanks to everyone for getting me to over 18,000 subscribers now. It really helps, and I really appreciate it. Next goal for me is 20,000. Those numbers really mean nothing, but they're more of a representation of how long you've been doing this, I would say. Because over the weeks, days, weeks, and years, people like a video, they tend to then subscribe. So just more of a record of how long you've been doing it, which will be coming up to, I guess, 8 years. I'm not quite sure. Almost to 800 videos that I've made, but I think that includes live streams. And I have done a lot of live streams, especially in the last few years. So thanks for your support, and hello to Bedouin from NOLA. What's up today? Not much, my friend. I've been busy clearing stuff out. You wouldn't believe the amount of stuff that I've sold, donated, and thrown away the last 2 weeks. It feels very good. I needed to do that. I needed to take stock. I needed to just move stuff out of here, make space, and I think we all have to do that sometimes. With anything, right? It's good to do that. They call it spring cleaning. Nick says hi, happy Monday, you too. Patsy Smith's listening from Suffolk, UK. Zach Lee's in Venice, California. Nice. And the bootlegger. First time I've caught you live. Nathan from Yorkshire, UK. Very nice. What do you bootleg? Let us know. Dare I ask? Let us know. Rosanna, thanks for moderating as always. Good evening, Aaron, everyone here in the chat. Happy Monday, you too. Hope you and Lee are well. Looking forward to seeing you both soon. And Mad for It says, big hello from the UK. It's Graham. Graham, I still haven't heard about my guitar that's being looked at Sweetwater. I should hear this week, I guess. So the last 2 weeks I've been playing the other Maton, and that's been going well. But what I do now is I record all my shows onto my phone. It's very easy to do it with a TC Helicon Voice Live 3. With one cable, I can record the show onto my phone. I have iCloud, so when I get home, that recording is then on my iPad, my Mac, and my phone, because it's in the cloud, and I can listen back. So I've been very happy with the Maton sound of the Nashville, the guitar I'm using right now. But I have to say, listening back to the Cole Clark recordings, the face sensor does give it more of a microphone quality. Face sensors in guitars definitely have more of a microphone-like quality than an undersaddle. Undersaddle pickups, no matter how good they are, always have that quacky sound. It all kind of makes sense why Cole Clark used that system, because the undersaddle pickup does the low end, because the undersaddle pickup is the least feedback resistant. The face sensor does that mid-range where you get that quackiness, and their mic just does the very, very high end. It's very hard to even hear it. It's quite subtle. You can hear it, but it's subtle. Whereas the Maton tends to take the single piezo undersaddle, which is actually a palathetic pickup built into the guitar. They use that for everything, and then the mic just sits on top, and they've cut all the lows out so it doesn't feed back. So I really like it for fingerstyle. I really like it for leads, but the strumming isn't quite as natural as the Cole Clark. But they're both so good. They're both like different flavors. They're not. I would give the edge to the Cole Clark for that reason, but the way the Maton is just one source with that overlaid mic is still cool as well. It gives a different kind of sound. I don't know. They're very, very close. They're both great for different reasons. But my point is, I've been listening back to those pickups in the recordings that I make at shows, and really listening at home to my studio monitors to decide, you know, what is my favorite system, because everyone wants to know all the time. So still listening, and the guitars affect things too. When you've got a pickup system that accurate, you definitely hear the influence of the guitar. So there's that goes into play, and the setup of the guitar as well. All right, Rosanna says, I've hurt my wrist. Lee will be on later. He's out shopping. Sorry to hear that, Rosanna. Oh dear, we hope you get well soon. That's horrible. Nat says, I play acoustic guitar for the... Oh, I see. You play acoustic guitar for the Bootleggers UK. Also bootleg our own beers. So Bootleggers UK, is that a tribute? Is that not a tribute band? Is that a cover band? Let us know. Zach Lee, selling gear, how's it going? Any tips? Well, let me just think about this. Is the market recovering? It's not as diabolical as it was. It basically comes down to two things. What are you selling, and how much are you selling it for? But it's weird because some things that I've sold, basically I'm selling anything I don't use. I'm selling. I want to kind of reset, because I've been keeping a lot of stuff with the excuse of, oh, I'll need it for a video, I'll need it for this, I'll need it for that. That's not a good. That's a bad habit. So that stuff is going, and then when I've done all that and I've got down to what I need and thrown things away and reorganized the place, then I'm going to go through the guitars, and I'm going to make a video on each guitar and then sell the guitars that I don't play and get money back into savings, and then I can start again basically and, you know, figure out what I'm doing from there. But so I haven't done big stuff like guitars yet. I think it's going well. A couple of things didn't sell that I thought would. I've got a brand new Sennheiser instrument wireless set that I put way less than a new one is, and it's brand new. That hasn't sold. I guess with that, people would rather buy a new one. There's also a lot with that particular system. There's also a lot of people saying that the batteries don't last. And I've said it myself, so that's one of the problems with YouTube. Sometimes you say things like that, and then it negatively affects you, because people don't want to buy that from me. They'd rather buy a new one and have the warranty. And I do understand that. I suppose, yeah, I guess it makes sense. So that hasn't sold. Not sure what I'll do with that. Probably end up selling it really cheap. Other stuff has sold really well. I have done really reasonable prices. Sometimes I think my prices are so reasonable that people think it's a con, it's a scam. Because when you have something, you say, look, I bought it for a video, haven't used it, free shipping, and it's way less than a new one. I think a lot of people think it's some kind of scam, and it's not. I had no issues. One issue I have had is a pedal hasn't been delivered. That happens every kind of 10 sale, well, every time 20, 30 sales, that might happen. An issue like that, something gets broken, something gets lost. So I do pay for the shipping insurance. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should take that money, put it aside, and if something gets lost in shipping, refund the money. That's what a lot of people do. It's a bit like when they give you extended warranties in a guitar center, right? Most people don't buy them. They take the money, put it aside. If that thing breaks, they buy a brand new one. That's probably the most sensible thing. I do pay for the shipping insurance. It's usually not very much, and they do. Reverb are great with that. They do immediately just make it right, in my experience. So that's all been that's good. I like Reverb, and I tried eBay for like a iPad cover, didn't sell. So yeah, Reverb is my go-to, and then I did Acoustic Guitar Forum as well. You can sign up there to sell stuff. And there they definitely want a low price. It does get annoying when people ask you questions about something with no intention to buy it. When you do put a really fair price for something unused and they try to offer you less. I can't blame people. I guess that's what we should all be doing, right? It's try and save the most money possible. But it can be annoying and almost rude in a way, I guess. I don't know. But with those, I tend to then just knock a little. If it's just gone up, I say, look, I just posted it. I can't discount it. And if it's been up for a while, I'll then meet them in the middle with that. Or, you know, the thing I said last week about what Phil McKnight said really hit me, really rung true with me. He said, what do you value more? Do you value the space and the peace of mind or the money? So it's not that I don't need the money, but the space to me is really important. And actually, I've realized that getting rid of stuff, I feel so much better having space, and now I can find stuff. Because sometimes I would buy a cable that I thought I needed and I already had it. Things like that is stupid, right? So, yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. We'll see where that goes. So any tips? Just take really good photos. I don't take good photos, but the better, clean the thing up, make it look its best. I have like a sheet of fake wood paper, put that down, get the lighting right so it's not reflecting. If it's a guitar, obviously polish it up, put new strings on, make it look desirable. Be completely transparent about any damage because that can come back to get you if you don't. And set a fair price and stick to it for a while if you're not in a rush for the money or the space. And then if it's not selling for a month, drop the price or accept offers then. I do find that with some things, people just buy them. They just realize it's a great deal and they need it and they buy it. And I appreciate that. So they're my tips. Let me know if you've got any tips in the chat. Jack says, did you say you're using a TC Helicon voice pedal? I picked up a Play Acoustic. Great. So, I got to say it. The Play Acoustic is probably the best pedal this is all my, you're in my house right now, right? In my opinion, the Play Acoustic is the greatest pedal ever invented on this planet. The Voice Live 3 Extreme is even better, but slightly bigger, slightly more expensive. Well, double the price, slightly bigger, but way more feature packed. They're both good in a way. The way the interface of the Play Acoustic works is really cool and simple, very simple. The Voice Live 3 Extreme is a bit more complicated in the way it works, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. And that's the one I use now, the Voice Live 3 Extreme. But I still have a couple of I still have actually I think I actually put one for sale. I have 3 Play Acoustics because I used to use those exclusively, and then I bought spares at that time, and now I've moved over to the Voice Live 3 Extreme, and I have 2 of those. I have my main one and a spare one of those. So again, you see, too much stuff that I'm not using. But the Voice Live 3 Extreme, the reason I like that one is it's not that much heavier. It's bigger, not that much heavier, and it gives you a lot of features that I do rely on. Like it gives me an in-ear monitor mix that's independent from the front of house, at least in volume regards to volume. And you can load 5 tracks onto it. It has a longer looper, has a 2-track looper. It just has more of everything, basically. Has a lot of really cool features. It has a really cool feature where when you record a loop, if you then sing and turn on the harmonies while you're not playing, it will actually still track the harmonies from the loop. So it's got all these cool little things you wouldn't even think about. It's got a metronome, click track. So yeah, the Voice Live 3 Extreme and the Play Acoustic for me are the greatest pedals ever made. And it's very sad that the team from TC Helicon are no longer there. The ones that made those pedals are no longer there. But I am happy that TC Electronic are still continuing those. Well, we're not sure yet which ones, but certainly the Voice Live 3 Extreme, they've said, will be continued under their umbrella. And that makes me happy. But the real question is, who will make the next iteration of those kind of products? Because no one's doing it, and it's kind of annoying. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. It really is fantastic. And once you've gotten used to it, you'll never be able to play without it. Exactly, I have two $350 offers on a JBL Eon Compact listed at $450 with stand. Well, let me see what I sold mine for, because I sold my Compact. The app. To be fair, the JBL app that covers that speaker and the PRX1 and the other speakers they make was recently improved in a big way. So big that I was going to make a video. But then I went back into the Facebook group and they were saying, yes, it's way better, but I'm still having issues with this, this, and this. And that's why I decided just to keep my mouth shut. Because I've already said I'm not happy with the app. Honestly, I'm not here to damage companies. So the minute that app is rock solid, I'm happy to make a video and say, look, I see they've made this app a lot better. You should probably check out these speakers. But right now, I'm still not. It's not where I need it to be personally. So reverb. Let me see. I think I sold mine very cheap because I had a box for it ready to go. I'm interested for myself. Maybe I hope I didn't give it away. So you've got it what? You've got it at 450, been offered 350. I hope I didn't sell it for 250. Let me see. Oh, not bad. Mine went for 390 and 50 shipping. That's right. 440. 440, and you've got yours up for 450. So there you go. Don't go down to 350. That was a few months ago, and the app is now even better. So people might want it more than they did. So yeah, definitely, I would stick to 450. Take offers and go down as low as 400. You've got to stand with yours as well. And if you're selling locally, I guess that's okay. I wouldn't want to ship the stand. That's a drag. But if you're selling locally, and I also paid fees on that as well. So I ended up getting about 375. So I'd say 400's about right for that. Still a current speaker. Depends on the condition. Mine was perfect. So still a current product. You've got the stand. Depends on the condition then. If yours has been used, if it's scratched up, then I might go down to 350. Mine was basically mint. I'd only used it I'm very careful with my stuff. I always buy bags for my stuff, cases. When I go to a gig, I'm very careful with it. I rarely get scratches and things on stuff, but it helps me resell it later on. And I like to look after stuff anyway. It's just how I am. So Nat said, covers, but have just released our first originals album. Great, enjoy your channel. Thank you. Can I please ask your opinion on the Mackie Showbox? I really like it. I was into it because of the breakout box. And when I went to NAMM, I sought it out and I heard it and I liked it and I liked the design and I liked the people and I made a video with them and I said, hey, I'm happy to review it on your channel. So I have posted the review on my channel. They did send it to me to make the review. I didn't spend the money on it, so please bear that in, have that in consideration when you watch the video. But I really thought it sounded good. I really did. Like the intro part is my Maton straight into it. I thought that's one of the best sounds I've heard. And I do include at the end the room sound as well. Now, a lot of this, though, will depend on the guitar. That's the problem with these videos, these YouTube videos. I thought it sounded great with the Maton, but would it sound as great with the Cole Clark? Would it sound as great with an Anthem? You have to factor all that in. It's why when people ask me for advice of what to buy, I always say, what guitar are you playing? What pickup are you using? What style of music are you playing? Where are you playing? When are you playing? How often are you playing? All these questions. Because you've got to think of the whole chain, right? Like for me right now, the Maton, like yesterday, I used the Maton straight into the Voice Live 3 Extreme, straight into a K8.2 speaker for the room, into the venue's little speakers as well, which aren't, won't never be as good as a full PA, but they help to spread the sound, and then in-ear monitors. So that's my chain, and that is a very proven sound for me. I believe that sound is excellent. That's my goalpost sound, right? But if I change the pickup, the whole sound changes. If I change the speaker, the whole sound. If I change the pedal, if I change anything. So bear that in mind. Now, if you want my thoughts on the Showbox, if you need the extra channels, then check it out. Because most of these battery-powered speakers tend to have 2 inputs. So if you only want 1 or 2 inputs, I would definitely consider the Bose if you want something very small. The eVerse 8 if you want something a bit bigger, a bit more powerful than the Bose. I'd consider the Showbox if you want those features. If you don't want the app, and if you want the extra channels. If you want the app, then you can't get the Showbox because it doesn't have an app, okay? So same as when I recommend pickups, same with these speakers, you've got to factor in what you need. Bose doesn't have phantom power. eVerse 8 has phantom power. eVerse 8 can power play acoustic. Bose cannot power play acoustic. Bose has the built-in wireless system. eVerse 8 does not have the built-in wireless system. Bose is the lightest. eVerse is the medium. Showbox is the heaviest. They all have a slightly different feature set. And that's why I kind of ended up with the Bose, the eVerse 8, and the Showbox. Those three for me are kind of my go-tos. Bose for the most portable and the coolest features, and I think out-of-the-box sound is my favorite too. eVerse 8 for the most practical levels and features in that size box, and the phantom power if you need it, and a very nice app that's versatile, not as deep as it could be, but not intimidating. And then the Showbox, if you don't like apps and you have a Duo, that's the way to go with that one, definitely. So you got to factor all that in your decision, okay? So Rusty, how you doing? Rusty Shortland. Great last name, Rusty. Still loving the 00015M. That is kind of a staple, isn't it? Is it staple or stable? I don't know. That if I'm wrong, I'll just say that's the British or the American. I'll get out of it. That is still a standard, the 00015M. Got excited when I seen the new quadruple O and then saw the price. What is the quadruple O? Is there a quad O M, or are you talking about the one that Martin is selling on Reverb, which is interesting? They're selling custom shops now on their Reverb site. Nick said, I find it hard to sell on Reverb because Sweetwater and Guitar Center are so quick to give such deep discounts. Yeah, in the pandemic, you could sell easily on Reverb because those stores were not giving any discounts. And now they are giving discounts, deep discounts. It's much harder. Excuse me, that was my glass. But don't be deterred. I'm telling you, I've sold a lot of things the last 2 weeks. I've shipped so much the last 2 weeks that the guy at Staples, where the UPS drop off is, said, "Have you got a business?" And I said, "Well, I kind of had. I do YouTube." So Rex, how you doing? Just ordered a Tascam Model 24 to record some band rehearsals in preparation for album project next winter on location, recording in an old barn. Stressing over whether I'll use it effectively. Tascam Model 24. Let's see what that is. Tascam 24. Oh, wow. Yeah, I was considering that. It's a mixer. I was looking for a mixer. I've got to put this in the video at some point. I bought a hybrid mixer for a gig, a wedding band, a couple of years ago. And now I have a digital mixer again. I'm selling that hybrid mixer. I want to do a video about should you buy an analog mixer or a digital mixer before I sell that. Then that one's going to go on Reverb for sure. But when I was doing that research about which one to get, this was definitely one that I considered. Because price is good, lots of channels. And as you said, it's kind of a hybrid. It actually will record the gig as well, which I just think is invaluable. Record everything. It's just worth it. So very, very cool. And I think you'll like it. Yeah, I was actually going to get that one. And then I knew someone that worked at another brand. And I got a different brand because I got a discount. But that's the one that I was going to get. Then eventually I decided to go back to digital. A bit like with guitar stuff. My thoughts back then were, well, I want the physical slider. I want to be able to run over and press a physical slider. Like, I want a real amp. I want to run over and turn a real knob on the amp. Okay? Versus, I don't want a modeler because you've got to go in there and use the menus. And then a few months later, I want a modeler because it has the menus. Same philosophy with these mixing desks. I want the sliders, I want the tactile feel, the simplicity of an analog mixer, and a hybrid one that will also record, best of both worlds. And eventually I was then like, well, actually, I want a digital one. I want the app. I want to do things remotely. And one came out that I was really into. So I got that one instead. But this is one that I was looking at, and I think it's really cool. The Tascam stuff is great. I love the Tascam recorder I use, as you know. And this looks awesome because you've got the graphic EQ at the top right, and the digital recorder, the digital effects, but analog faders and knobs, which is nice. So I think you'll be fine with that. I think it's simple. The thing to remember about a mixer is, I always tell myself, learn channel 1 and then all the other 24 are basically the same. As you get to the right there are some changes. As you get to the stereo inputs, the layout is a little bit different. And then you hit some other kind of knobs for auxiliary sends and things like that. But if you just, when you look at that mixer, you freak out and think, whoa, there's like 100 knobs on there. No, just learn channel 1, what they do. And then all the other ones up to the end are the same. And then you've just got to learn how to record the audio and the other features. So, in the back of the manual. So that's how you do it. That's how I would do it. Let's keep track here. Does the Play Acoustic add harmonies? It does, and I've just started using different harmonies. For a while, I was only using a third above on the Voice i 3 Extreme because I wanted to keep it natural and subtle. But I've actually started adding other harmonies, and I really like them. You've got to choose them for the song. There's certain songs where, say, a harmony below and above just is exactly what it wants. And I don't find it corny. Sometimes I worry when I turn it on and I've got the in-ears in that it's going to be too much and be kind of corny. But when I listen back, I don't think it is. I think it adds an effect. For me, it's just like adding a big reverb effect or a delay effect. It just emphasizes that part of the song that you can't do with just an acoustic guitar. It's not possible. So it's really nice with some songs to hit that chorus and have these thick wall of sound harmonies come on. And the great thing with the in-ears is that they're in stereo. That sounds really cool. Of course, it doesn't help the people out the front, but I enjoy it, and that's cool. Nap gigged the Play Acoustic for 9 years. Same unit, never failed me. I gigged mine for about 6. Mine did fail. The knob in the middle stopped working, and I had someone fix it. There's actually a guy around where I live that fixes those kind of pedals, which is great. Without that, I would have been stuck. But honestly, I'll just buy another one. Some people say on the forums, oh, the TC stuff breaks. Maybe it does. I mean, any company's pedals can break, right? The problem is someone posts something negative on a forum and then that becomes law. But I always said to them, look, I'm happy to buy a new one. I would have bought a newer Play Acoustic every year because I was doing 5 gigs a week every week with it. So for me, it just paid for itself in a week. It was awesome. I think I did see it on Reverb, all black. Yes, that's a custom shop. So it's interesting what Martin are doing. Martin Guitar selling direct, but only the more affordable models on their website. Now they've got a Reverb shop where they're selling direct as well. And they've actually now started to put custom shop models on there. So they're not getting that. They refuse to sell the standard models because I think that they're worried that will affect the dealers' attitude, shall we say. But they are doing one-off customs and the affordable options. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they just throw everything up on there, right? Companies are selling direct. They make more money that way. So I get it. That's what happened with Rain Song. I'm trying to find that guitar so I can show everyone what I'm talking about. Wow, this is nice. Sorry, I'm distracted. I just saw a nice OMC 10,000. Look at that. Let's jump over and look at this. I've got some stories to talk about in a second, but look at that. That's a nice guitar. But these customs now are really getting up there in price. They really are. This is black. I mean, look at that back. I don't like the. I always forget what it's called. The wild grain. Wild grain. I don't like that. I prefer the straight grain myself. It does look nice. It looks more artistic, but I like the idea of the straight grain myself. This one has more like 42 style appointments, which is going to drive the price up, like that outline there. But not too much. Not on the bridge. It's pretty subtle. So it's got the anthem as well. Nice. That's a cool guitar. That's basically $11,000. And I think OMC is more like $6,000. So you're really, with that, you're really paying for that wood set on the back. You're really paying for the inlay. But I like that inlay because I'd always have the abalone around the sound hole, and it looks like they've just added it to the back. And it's interesting, they've also done a headstock as well. Very, very Mayer-esque here in influence with that binding around the headstock, I have to say. And this is, of course, a bit like the OMC. I sold my OMC like this that I had. This is very reminiscent of that. But that one was rosewood and Sitka. This one is alpine spruce and black walnut. But you do get free shipping. So, hey, I'm not knocking it. Things are expensive now. I don't want to be that guy that's like complaining about prices. If you want a one-off lifetime guitar, I'm sure this is amazing. I would definitely make sure I played it before I make sure I got a good return policy, because I really believe now that guitars all sound so different. But that is a cool guitar. I like that. But alas, it's not the guitar that I was looking for. Let me just see if I can find that one. Martin Guitar Store. Oh, I can't find it. I'm not sure what to search for. Anyway, Martin have a web shop. What, do you remember the name of that guitar? It's got the black Quado guitar has a name. I can't think. Oh, what's it called? It's the name of a movie. If anyone knows, tell me and I'll go back to the site. But I'm not going to sit there and search. I've already found an expensive guitar to tempt people with. So let me know if you remember. Sam Ash had 15% off Tascam. It will work as an interface. Great. Yeah, it's a good deal. A lot of Sam Ashes are closing. They've got deals right now, 15% off. I thought they might have more, because 15% off is what you can get from most stores anyway. Oh, let me get rid of this, Mike. Christopher Hampson, great to see you here. Thanks for joining us. From Yorkshire. Great. Good evening to you. Lee's back. Great to see you here. Hope you're looking after Rosanna, because she hurt her wrist. Zach Lee, what pick thickness switch from 1.5 to 73 nylon make it much better? So you switched from 1.5 mil to 73. You see, I couldn't do that. Once again, I love these Jazz 3 XLs. It's all I'll really ever use. Excuse the fingernails. They're pretty bad right now. Jazz 3 XL. I like the thick pick. But different picks sound different. If you're recording, it's great to have several different thicknesses and types, because you get different sounds recording. Live, I like this one. I've decided that lately. I definitely have stuff that I like live that I might not like recording, and vice versa, which makes sense, I think. So Matt says, a couple of questions regarding online selling. You mentioned Reverb, Sweetwater, and Acoustic Forum. Which do you prefer and why? Have you calculated the average amount of time you spend to sell item? No, I'm not that scientific about it. So Reverb has the biggest reach and excellent customer service if there's a problem. And I think that's just where people go. Like if I'm looking for guitars, I check for guitars every day. So if I'm doing that, I go to Reverb, definitely. So Reverb is where I would go. I've got great feedback on that anyway. I've always had help with them with any issues that have come up, and I think they're great. I have no problem with them. Sweetwater is new, so less reach, but they're trying to get into the game, and they're doing well. But I don't feel they have the infrastructure that Reverb has. But they have something cool where if you sell something, you can either get paid out or you can have a credit on your account. And I did sell one thing on there and had the credit appear. And then when I bought something, that credit was used. That's nice. And then they don't take a fee for that. So they're definitely being aggressive in what they're doing. So I would consider that as well. And then Acoustic Guitar Forum, I usually stay away because there's no recourse. I bought a used Rain Song off there a few years ago, and it wasn't what I expected when I got it. And I didn't feel that, I couldn't ring someone up and say, hey, I didn't get what I wanted. And what are you going to do then? You're going to start basically telling the guy you bought it from, like, you got to give me a refund. Yeah, you can do that, but I'd much rather just go to Reverb and say, look, this is what they said. You can see our messages. This is what showed up. I want a refund, and they just do it. So Acoustic Guitar Forum, I sold a couple of cities. I sold a mic stand because I just couldn't sell it, and I wanted to sell it, just get rid of it. So I put that on there. I sold a box of like accessories that I just didn't want anymore. I put them all into one box and said, hey, give me $100. You can have the whole box. You know, it's probably worth $250 in reality, but I'm just putting it into one box and shipping it off. So things like that. I have sold guitars on there. It was successful, but it's always more stressful to me because there's no infrastructure. So for me, it goes Acoustic Guitar Forum and forums like that, and then Sweetwater because they're up and coming with that in regards to used gear, and then Reverb because they're still number one for me in the reach they have and the infrastructure they have. And then Facebook Marketplace is below all of those because Facebook Marketplace is just very, very scary when you do it. At least where I live. I don't like it. And I had a couple of times I went to meet someone, they didn't show up. So that sucks. I hope that helps. Have you determined a price? In regards to time, sometimes something will sit for months and then sell at full price. So remember that as well. It's very tempting to take lowball offers. It's very tempting to drop prices to lowball prices. But if you're not in a hurry for the money, try to just leave it there at a fair price and wait. And it will sell eventually. Eventually someone will wake up, log in and want that thing and buy it. So don't go in too low and then gradually lower it. But hopefully things will just sell straight away. All my stuff sold straight away apart from that wireless system and the pedal, I think. Have you determined a price floor beyond which it wouldn't be worth the effort? Funny, I was having this conversation about the mic stand, and I thought, you know what? Even if I end up getting $30, I don't want it. I'm at the point now where that was in its box. A microphone stand takes up space. It's in its box. It's in a shipping box. It's like in the living room. I just want to watch TV and have an empty living room at this point. I was just like, I'm either going to sell it cheap or I'm going to just throw it away. So throwing it away is a horrible thing. You could donate it. I guess I could have donated it. I just thought, if I get $30 for that, I definitely don't want it. I don't want that. I don't need it. It's not going to get used for 10 years, whatever. So if I get $30 back, I just want it gone. And that worked out well. And I'm sure the person that bought it is extremely happy. How do you think that Martin did with the Platinum Mayer models, and how do you think they will hold up in a market versus the original? Nothing in this world is going to hold up to the original John Mayer guitar. And I do think it's stupid. I really do. And I'm at the end of the day, you've just got to remember those original guitars were made coming up to 20 years ago or so. 50, how long ago was it? 15 years at least. Someone was commenting on the OMJM video today. They are OM 28 standard series guitars with Engelmann tops, narrow nut, polished headstock, his signature on the neck, and the abalone rosette. That's what they are. And a Fishman pickup. That's what they are. So I always tell people, go out and find yourself a really nice OM28. Play it a lot so it wears in. That will be as good. I really wish I still had that original guitar. In regards to, I wish I could play it because I'm so particular now about what I like in an acoustic guitar. I hear things now that I didn't used to hear because I've played so many now. I've owned so many. I've played so many. I really know what sound I'm looking for. So who's to say that guitar that I owned, the original Mayer guitar, who's to say that I would still like it now? I might love it. It might be the best thing I ever played, especially because it would be aged by now. But it may also have some weird thing that I don't like. So bear that in mind. Better off to go out and find a really nice OM28 standard series. And you might even prefer the wider nut, funnily enough. You might prefer that. But hey, great. If you've got one, it's great because I now see offers of $50,000. The fact is, they only made 400 or so. They're extremely limited and they're just extremely desirable. That's what it comes down to. I'm not knocking it. you know, I say I'm bitter, but I am a little bit bitter, honestly. But because I'd like to have one that I could put up for 50K as well. Of course I would. You know, of course I want to do that. But the fact of the matter is, it has gotten out of hand and crazy. The new guitars are very different. I mean, the Mayer 45 is it's different to the OM28JM, and it's not as desirable. And it is starting off at 10K. And I don't know anyone that bought one. I don't think that's something that someone should have bought as an investment. I think buying guitars as an investment is a horrible idea anyway. I really do. But a lot of people hate the color too. I don't hate the color. I like the color, but it's not as iconic as that original guitar. My advice for anyone is there's two things you can do. Make yourself a custom guitar. If you know what you want, or if you want that guitar, get as close to it as you possibly can and make a custom version. Or do that and then customize it to yourself. Like maybe you want the wider nut and a colorway. Do that, right? And then the other thing is, well, the thing with that is you might not like what you get because all guitars are different. So that's the risk you take. Or just go out, save up your money, and just play every OM28 you can possibly find, and just find one that you really like the sound of, that feels great and you like the sound of it. And then for me, that's a way better option. But if you ever do find the original guitar, then you can also tell me where it is and I'll buy it. Christopher says, Aaron, I wanted to ask you and everyone else that has opinions on this. Do you think the limited edition silver skies, such as the Nebula and Lunar Ice, will jump in price in 20 years? I mean, who knows? No one knows the answer to that. No one thought when the Mayer Acoustic came out that it would be worth, I mean, to get offers of 50,000, 20,000, at least 20,000. People listing for 50,000 are dreaming, but I've seen people offering 20K for a mint one. And obviously, as they're all wearing out and breaking and cracking and never remade, people will ask for more. Maybe in 20 years from now, if you had a mint OM28 John Mayer, mint, kept in its case and never played, maybe that'll be worth 100,000 if John Mayer's popularity continues to grow. In regard to the silver skies, I don't think so. I think the way that John went from Fender to PRS kind of cut that market a little bit. He moved between companies, and the Silver Sky is definitely still a little bit polarizing. I mean, the American Silver Sky for me doesn't feel as nice as his Fender did, for example, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be a customer. I do think the Nebula looks fantastic, and I would certainly love to have one, just simply because it's limited and because of how it looks. Will it jump in price? I don't think. I mean, who knows? I don't think so. I think the danger is the Mayer Acoustic became so iconic and so sought after that people now think all his stuff is like that. And maybe a Dumble he's played to be like that because it's a Dumble. But I don't see that happening with kind of standard guitars like Silver Skies and even the new Martins. But then who knows? They might announce next year that there's no more Rosewood, and the guitars they just released in Rosewood might be suddenly worth 4 times what you paid for them. We don't know that. We're definitely seeing the woods change. I've seen it change. I think back to when I got into all this gear stuff and just starting to think about doing YouTube videos, and I was buying loads of guitars all the time because back then guitars were like $1,000 cheaper. I mean, back then I was basically being paid the same what I get paid for a gig now 10 years ago, and also the guitars were generally like $1,000 cheaper, and it was just so much more doable. It still wasn't a great life decision to buy and sell stuff. Even then, I would sell stuff cheap because that's what the market was at the time, but it was definitely more accessible. Like that custom shop I just showed you for $11,000. In 2016 would have been more like around 5 or 6, right? Much more accessible than it is now. Maybe less, I don't know, back then. So I don't know. It's just, like I said, just bear in mind that original John Mayer has that thing, that untouchable thing that will basically has made it priceless. I don't think any other guitar of his will reach that. I really don't. I think I mean, do you think maybe if he stayed with Fender and had released some 5 master built guitars the same spec as his, and it was on his last 3 albums, something like that, I think would have done. And I think I'll get a lot of hate from Silver Sky fans. I think the Silver Sky is a great guitar. The neck isn't for me, but I think they're great guitars, of course. They're very well made. They sound great. I was very happy when he walked out at MSG and played his Black One. That was awesome. Also, it's also great that PRS don't mind him doing that as well. But that just had, it was funny, that just had something about it, that performance. Seeing him up there with his iconic Strat, obviously awoke the Fender fan in me, of course. There's that connection. But there is a connection. And with a lot of these guitars, it's the fact they've played them for so long. So the original John Mayer, he played that for years and gigged it for years and recorded with it for years. So that also cemented its place in history. He doesn't play, I mean, he plays different PRS every night, right? He has like 100 of them, all different colors. So that's the thing to remember with that as well. Same with Ed Sheeran. They keep releasing these limited Ed Sheeran guitars. So there's just a million of them. And it's not the same as just releasing one guitar that becomes iconic. So interesting stuff. Yes, I did have one, Christopher. I'm not going to tell the story again because people get sick of me talking about it, but I did own one for a couple of years, and it was mint. Nick Johnson, do you prefer his Fender sound to his PRS sound? I mean, I'm a hypocrite because I now have a Sir, and that's the guitar I'd grab to go and play a gig with. But for me, John Mayer on his Fender, his Martin, Clapton on his Black Strat. I get sentimental like that. I'm kind of set in my ways. But like I said, I'm a hypocrite because I do like modern guitars as well. So I think this stuff is just a moment in time. It's more of an emotional reaction as well. And let's face it, that's what it is to that Martin guitar. It's an emotional reaction that you've got that guitar. You've got to remember, that is not his guitar. That's another guitar that Martin made that could be a total dud. So I don't know why people are just walking up on forums and saying, hey, I'll give you $20,000 for your OM28 John Mayer. It could be the worst guitar you've ever played. So that's scary too. If it's a great one, then yes. They have a prototype at Martin that I played in the video, and it's great. If it sounds like that, then fair enough. But who's to say that guitar is going to sound as good as the one that John plays? It might sound like a completely different guitar to the one that John plays, right? And John's probably sounds the absolute best simply because he's played it for so many years. Right, let's go to the stories then. Let's jump over here. Just before I do that, if you're new here, please do subscribe and ring the bell. It really helps. Thank you so much for your support. I've got a couple of stories for you, not too many. It's kind of a quiet week this week, but I want to give this a shout out. Robert Getzel has a new Martin. So let's take a look. It's just literally hot off the press, just been announced here. So Robert Getzel is our friend at Martin. He's the artist. He's now on the board as well, which is great. And this is his latest Biosphere guitar. Is that what they call it? Yes, this is the Biosphere 2 DSS. So this is his artwork on the guitar. Martin Guitar wants to know your location. Don't allow. Let me just read this out because I haven't read this yet. Oh, by the way, I just saw Rudy's Music. Rudy's Music got the OM45 John Mayer. We'll have a look at that as well and see if they've still got it in stock. Because I was really curious to see if that would just sell straight away or if it wouldn't. That's another good way to figure this stuff out. When you see stuff sell instantly, you know it's going to obviously have more value. Although people are artificially changing that because everyone's buying stuff to resell. But if something isn't selling immediately, then you've got to have the warning lights come on, right? So dedicated to sustainability and preserving our planet for future generations. So because today is Earth Day, right? Martin Guitar is proud to reinforce that call to action this Earth Day. There we go. Earth Day is today. I guess we should say happy birthday to planet Earth with the all-new DSS Biosphere 2. The third model in an Earth Day series showcases another stunning work of art from acclaimed artist Robert Getzel. taking us to the waters off the coast of Hawaii. Nice. This model is a tribute to the Kiki, am I saying that right? Kiki Kohala Project, caring for calves in Maui waters, a non-profit that promotes protection of humpback whale mother and calf pairs during their time in Hawaiian waters. Martin & Co. has made a generous donation to the cause. Thank you, Martin. The DSS Biosphere 2 is also FSC certified, 100% plastic free, and adorned with a preferred by nature hummingbird seal. So earth friendly. It's a satin sloped shoulder dread that provides a warm and mellow tone, rounded out by powerful mids, bright and airy trebles, plenty of volume. All nature has its own song to sing. The DSS Biosphere 2, Martin hopes to raise awareness of protecting the environment and the beautiful music it creates. Nice. So this time we've got the whales on there. I've got a video on my channel talking to Robert at NAMM about the 2 models he released at the NAMM show, and it's really interesting because he was saying in that video about how he works around the sound hole and how he does his art. So check that video out if you haven't seen it. But I want to give this a shout out because Robert is a nice guy, and I think his art is really nice, and he's been very proactive. He just released 2 models at the NAMM show, and now he's got this model that just came out now. And we're seeing that quite a lot. There's a lot of stuff coming out now that wasn't at the NAMM show. Last week, NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, we saw lots of new microphones, some really cool microphone stuff coming out. And there's also product releases coming out as well that we're seeing, certainly from Martin Guitar and others. So congratulations, Robert. That looks awesome. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad Martin are making donations and raising awareness. Martin are very outspoken on such things, aren't they? We've seen that over the years. They've done some very they've done political based guitars, and they've done environmental guitars. I like that. It's cool. And then the big one I wanted to mention is, you've probably seen this, so Tonex is a big deal. Tonex is like another modeler, like a Kemper basically, and they started with a computer plugin that you can download and try for free, and really got people talking because you can also capture amps in that as well, and they say it's very accurate. Then they brought out this pedal version with the 3-foot switches for $449. Is that right? Oh no, it's with the direct box as well. How much is the pedal by itself? I've never played the pedal. I've tried the software, it's good, but I'm very happy with the Quad Cortex. Oh, so the pedal by itself is $399. Huh? What? Oh, $449 for the box. Okay, that's a good deal actually. That's a good saving. But yeah, $400 basically for this one. 3-foot switches. So the rumors are that I've seen, which are really interesting. It doesn't interest me personally because I'm very happy with the Quad Cortex, and I don't want to use mini pedals for my amp sound. But this is what we're seeing. It looks like they're about to release a single mini pedal version of that. It is really cool. It is really big news for guitarists. Yes, it's another way to amplify your electric guitar. Yawn, yawn, yawn. Every week we get 3 of them every week. But this one is really interesting because if it sounds as good as the software, those captures are really great sounding. They're very authentic. And you've basically got a little tiny pedal with 2 sounds. So you can have clean and crunch, or clean and heavy, or clean, two cleans, whatever. From their library of captures. And you can also buy captures as well if you want to go that route. And then you've got the 3 little knobs, which are bass, middle, and treble. You can make on-the-fly adjustments, a volume control. There's also secondary controls. There's like a gate and a reverb. So with that little pedal, you could do a whole gig easily. And if you plug that little pedal into a multi-effects, like a Helix type thing, then you've got a seriously powerful rig. So I think this is really clever. What they're doing is they're starting with the software, getting the name out there, then making a pedal, then making a mini pedal. I personally would rather have a multi-effects with everything in it pedal, like a Quad Cortex. They seem to be going the other way. So Helix started with the flagship and worked their way down to the HX1, the mini pedal. Tonex are making mini pedals, and then I guess they might make a flagship. But it makes a lot of sense. It's a very smart business move. And I think a lot of people will really like this pedal. If you want something really simple to connect your pedal board to, I know I've had the Boss on here. I've had the latest pod thing on here. I've had, I know I've had too many, and you're thinking, well, why is he talking about yet another pedal? I do think this one will be worth looking at. I'm not going to buy one, but I do think if you're in the market, this will be worth looking at for people that already have a board. I don't have a board. I have the Quad Cortex. I like that all-in-one solution. But if you're dead set about using your board and your amp, but you need to go ampless sometimes, this is probably the one to get. This is the smallest, and those sounds are really high regarded in the industry. So this is not official yet. This is a leak, and it might be a fake. It doesn't look fake to me. I think it's legit. I think we're going to see this week or next week, and I think this is going to sell a lot. I think that's a really interesting move, and that's why I'm showing it on the channel. So Christopher Hampson says, great answer, thank you. I have a Lunar Ice. Asked you the other day about getting OMJM or OM28. I did manage to play both of them at my local music shop. 28 clearly won, but to try out more, I have to drive 4 hours down south. Very tempted to swap. Thanks for answering. You're welcome. That's why I do the live stream, Chris. Oh, you want so I don't really understand. You want to sell the Lunar Ice and get an OMJM? See, I wouldn't do that. I did like the gray OMJM that I briefly had. I did like it. I returned it because I just didn't see myself using it, but that was the best sounding OMJM I've ever played. I've played 4 or 5 OMJMs. They just never. There's something about that guitar. It looks beautiful, but it just never has the sound. And I've played a lot of OMs in my time, and some of them don't sound good at all to me. Some of them sound amazing. So that's why I said, if you play an OM28 and it speaks to you, then get that guitar and just stick with that. You can consider a custom shop, but that's a real gamble. But then you can get something nice if you want to. So yeah, it's tough. Also, the OMJM is more money than the OM28. So I just don't see why you would go that way. For the price of an OMJM, I think you can get an OM28 custom with the abalone rosette around the sound hole and Engelmann top. That might be around, say, $4.5 grand, bit more than your OMJM, but then that's an option. But like I said, you might get that guitar and not like how it sounds and feels. So I'm not going to encourage you to do that. Look for a really nice OM28. Try to compare it to an OMJM and make sure you do think it sounds better. And I would go that route if I was doing it now from scratch. Chris says, I've been on, or buy that $10,000 one, that $11,000 one. That looks really nice. Yeah, it looks great. I've been on the fence with the Tonex for a while. Yeah, I tried it. It does sound great in the computer. I've been around the ringer so many times, all this digital electric stuff. And every time I play the Quad Cortex, I'm not talking about captures because I find that hard to organize them, and I like the app, but you got to search for them, and I don't want to buy them. The stock models in the Quad Cortex are so good. They're so good. And I just love the size, the weight, the interface. The new software's coming that has lots of new stuff in it. I love that thing. I love it. For me, it's where I'm sticking with for this year for sure. So Tonex, yeah, I just wanted to show that because I think that'll be huge news, and I think for the right person that'll be a great product that wants that mini. I mean, to have a mini pedal of that quality is insane. When will you be getting the ToneDexter 2? So far, I'm impressed with what it's doing. Definitely takes some work. So you have one? I did ask Sweetwater to work with me on a series of videos about the ToneDexter 2 to sponsor it, but they haven't replied. They may do it, they may not. It's just not my thing these days because I have the Cole Clark, I have the Maton, I have a Martin with an Anthem in it. For me, those guitars sound so good anyway. I don't think they need any more help. And for example, the Cole Clark won't work with the ToneDexter because it uses crossovers. The Anthem SL won't work with the ToneDexter. It uses a crossover. the Maton would work with the ToneDexter. I just don't know if I need it, if it would add anything. But I do like what they've done with it. I love all the new features. I love the screen. I love the flexibility, and they seem to be adding features with firmware updates as well. But I've been following along with it. It looks really cool. But I did have one here for a day, and I did post an initial impressions video, and part of me was way happier than the original and thought it got very close to the microphone, and part of me still felt like it wasn't the direction that I would go live, and it still wasn't as good as the mic. You know what I mean? So for me, it's something like on the radar. I would like to look into it more, but it's just not. It's not. What I've heard doesn't excite me enough to like rush out and buy one and pair it with like a K&K. And I mean, that was some of the best sounds I got with the original, was the K&K and the ToneDexter. I got some really good sounds, but I just I'm struggling a bit at the moment because I found such great pickup systems. You know, this is interesting. Yeah, tell me more. I have one. Tried it live. It got a better setup for live. I have an issue where I have 4 acoustic. So for a Sunday setup, I'm looking for a flexibility. Okay, so you've got 4 different guitars, maybe different pickup systems, and you want a pedal, and then you can just, I guess on that, you can save the presets and switch between them. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to go. You know, I always say I'm not a fan of K&K, but the K&K with the ToneDexter, I got some great results in my live streams when I did it. So if someone has 5 guitars with K&Ks in them, that's a great way to go, because it's just one pedal and you use the 5 guitars with it. But my 3 main guitars now already have excellent systems in them, and I don't think it will really benefit them. I'm using the TC Helicon Voice Live 3 Extremes EQ to tweak my sounds mostly. And I like that kind of punchy, direct sound. I don't really want to add the IR and start to kind of make it not as focused. I like that focused sound, like I get from the Cole Clark and the Anthem and the Maton. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So thanks for the comment, and do keep me up to date with what you think about it on here on the live stream, because I'm interested to know if people are using it successfully and if it works for them. And like I said, I'm not against it. I had some really good results with certain systems with the original, and this new one does have some really nice features. The tuner alone and the built-in EQ, there's some other things as well. There's some features that they've added to that makes it a really cool pedal, that if I had a pedal board, I'd consider putting it on. You've got the boost in there. You've got the tuner. That could be your boost. That could be your tuner. It could be your EQ. And you could blend in some IR as well. So would definitely recommend it to the right person. For me, I just love taking a guitar that sounds great, plugged straight into the Voice Live 3 Extreme, straight into the house. That's what I like to do, because I like to travel light, and that's why that's my preferred setup. But if I had a pedal board, multiple guitars, used passive pickups, then I'd probably be more interested than I am right now. Yeah. So I did the news already. I did the comments. So let me know if you've got any more questions or things you want to talk about, because I think I've shared my news. Like I said, I'm waiting for my guitar to be fixed at Sweetwater, and I want to make a whole thing about that. But I'm still waiting for them to get in touch. Let me just make sure they haven't emailed me while I've been live. No. So I'm waiting on that. They should have that in their hands this week. They said 2 to 3 weeks, and this will be week 3 at the end of the week. So that's cool. And I'm anxiously waiting for this Quad Cortex update version 3 to drop. Really want to get into the weeds in that. And just, yeah, more news on the vocal stuff. People are still complaining in the Headrush group about the Sheeran looper, like they haven't updated the firmware yet. I did tell people, I said, look, wait for them to update the firmware to where it needs to be for you, and then buy it. A friend of mine actually bought one and returned it and lost money on the return. You know, that's annoying. That's happening a lot. I say it all the time. Try to tell people, try to warn people. Of course, we all want to just get stuff and move on, right? And wait for it. I've done it myself. I've bought pedals. They've been in that closet behind me. I've been waiting for the firmware update. 3 years have gone by and I've sold it at a loss. It sucks. I warn people. If you get something, Make sure you got a good return policy. Make sure you're actually going to use it. Make sure it does what you want it to do. If it doesn't, return it. Tell them why. Don't just buy stuff and return it. If you're going to return it, maybe email the company and say, look, I returned the pedal because it doesn't do this, this, and this. Give them a chance to make those changes if they're valid changes. And then look again in a few months and see if they made those changes. And if they didn't, then that's not the right product for you, I'd say. So you're using it with the LR Bags Anthem. So there's the Anthem and the Anthem SL. So I've got the Anthem SL. That's actually an Anthem behind me, but I've got the Anthem SL in my Martin, and that's not compatible, so people know. But the full Anthem is compatible. You just roll off all the microphone. So that's cool. I still have a full Anthem in one guitar, I think, and that guitar behind me. That guitar behind me is going back to have the saddle adjusted. It's cool, but that's an ongoing video thing as well, because the saddle needs to be sanded down. So no news on that one yet. But EQing the wave and blending the instrument sound 50-50 is ideal. Yeah, I always felt that way. I always like to do a 50-50 blend, sometimes even more, just to have I like to have just a hint of that IR just to sweeten things up without overtaking. And EQ is the most powerful thing about, everyone needs to learn how to EQ. I feel like a lot of people feel we should buy something and plug it in and get a great sound. Now, I said earlier, I want a pickup system that sounds great in its own merit. I do. But that's not to say that even the best systems I've found don't require EQ. Everything requires EQ. And I think there's a lot of musicians from what I've seen and my own personal experience in the past as well that feel that we should just get something and should plug it in. It should just sound great in any room. And yes, you can get that. The Anthem sounds great in any room, but it can sound way better if you EQ it correctly. So EQ is definitely an area that needs to be covered around here because EQ is not taken into consideration enough. So the great thing with the ToneDexter is you can use no wave map IR and you can use the EQ to shape the sound that you want. And you've got a decent tuner and a decent boost in there as well. And then you can blend in the IR. And I believe you can do a blend from 0 to 100. And there's also a kind of focus control that goes from 0 to 200. And you can focus that in and out as well. So you can really shape it. You can make it as drastic or as minimal as you like. So that's cool. Oh, you have the SL. So just so you know, the SL is not supported by audio sprockets. They say, if you look on their website, they say the Anthem SL is not compatible because the Anthem SL has a crossover baked in. So yeah, you can do it. You can experiment with it, with the wave map. You can get a sound. You could even use a wave map from another system, but it's not officially supported. Officially, according to them, that doesn't work, basically. So bear that in mind. But hey, there are no rules in this stuff. If you make it sound good, you make it sound good. But that's why they recommend the full Anthem, so you can shut off the microphone when you make the training. Boomer says, any news on the new Voice Live? So new Voice Live Extreme, it's not going to be new. It's going to be basically the components ran out as they did with many products, and TC Electronic told me they're re-engineering the pedal. So it'll look exactly the same. It'll run the same firmware, I imagine. It'll have the same box, I imagine. Maybe the serial number will tell you it's a newer one. But I'm trying to find out from them exactly what they're doing because they're changing some of the components so they can make them again. And they told me, I think they said May when I spoke to them at NAMM. That was a long time ago, so we don't know. Sweetwater told me September, but they might be referencing the next one you can get because I know a few people have ordered them. So I bet so many people have orders in for so many people have orders in for the new production that's coming. That I bet if you try and order one now, you won't get one until September. Because I bet they've got a ton of orders. But I don't think they really know either. Or they're just being cautious and saying September so people don't get disappointed. But we're definitely going to see it at some point this year. And this year is flying by. Right? It's almost May. So we're almost halfway through the year. So we're definitely going to see it sooner than later. And I'm very excited for it to come back to life. I'm trying to get more information and I'll share what I can when I get it. Yes, I saw that. I have the Anthem and the SL in my Taylors, but yes, you're spot on. You can do both blends and the works. Yeah, you know, my recommendation to you is to get a looper, record your guitar with the setting you would use live into the looper, and just sit there, put your headphones on, put it through your PA, play the loop into the ToneDexter, and then manipulate from there. So you've trained it. Get the training where you're happy with that training, because obviously that's different every time slightly. Then run a loop into it of your guitar when it's trained, and then play around with the blend, the focus, whatever they call it. I'm not sure. And then the EQ. Right, listen for any weird sounds, cut those, shape the sound. I want more bass, I want more highs, I want less highs, I want more bass. Do that with your hands on the pedal on the table while the loop is playing through the pedal. Don't try and play your guitar and make adjustments while you're sitting down with a guitar on your lap. That's never fun. John says, I like you and truly enjoy your thoughts, but you are so picky. God bless you. Hey, look, I always say this, John. If I wasn't picky, I wouldn't make YouTube content, would I? I would just be playing one guitar with one pickup through one pedal. And sometimes I wish I was that way. I probably would have made a lot more money. I would have not wasted so much money. Or I don't want to say wasted. I wouldn't have spent so much money. I wouldn't have spent so much time. They say ignorance is bliss, right? So in a way, I do wish I was like that, but I am picky, and I'm getting pickier. I tell you, I play a guitar now. I know what feel I like. I know what sound I like. And this stuff only comes with time. You have to learn what you really like. So, it's like when you give a beginner a guitar, they just start practicing the guitar. They don't think about nut width and sounds and anything like that, right? They just start learning chords and they enjoy it. But then over time, now, think about it now, like all these gigs I play and now I'm using in-ear monitors. I'm hearing all my sounds right in my head. So of course I'm going to be picky now, because now I'm like overanalyzing everything, and I'm recording the gig. Next day I listen back. Did I go flat? Did I play a wrong note? Was the tempo okay? Are there any weird frequencies jumping out? I'm very into that now. I try to stop myself and say, look, remember, it's a live performance. Don't get too self-critical. And also remember, you're hearing the sound right into your ears. So if there is some weirdness, the chances are the audience isn't hearing that, because they're listening through different speakers for a start. So I do bear that in mind as well. You can go too in the weeds with this stuff. Good idea. You're talking about that's right, spaciousness. That's what they call it. I've been following the firmware updates. Yeah, so you can make the sound. It's basically the same as focus, though, right? You can make focus the sound so it's very tight, or you can make it more like a longer, so it could be more ambient. And then you can blend that. So you could make the spaciousness low and blend it low, and then you've got a very subtle effect on it. Thanks, John. I appreciate the support. Hey, people watch the videos, people show up. Remember, this is a hobby. This is a fun aspect of music, to talk about the gear and try the gear and buy and sell the gear. I've been saying lately, it's better to do that, make a video for YouTube, than it is to play video games or something. I like video games, but you know what I mean? It's just another element of the hobby for me. But yeah, it can be dangerous too. And sometimes I don't like to share stuff because I'm worried that for example, if I suddenly realize, oh, I'm now hearing this thing in an acoustic guitar, and I share it on the channel, maybe you're then going to be more tuned into that, and it's going to spoil your enjoyment. So sometimes I think about that stuff too, for sure. But then again, I guess if you weren't interested in that kind of level of detail, you wouldn't be here watching the video, right? You'd be out playing your guitar and playing a gig somewhere. So there's that as well. Yeah. I think I worry about that stuff too much. And then sometimes people teach me stuff too. This whole thing I'm doing right now in regards to the intonation is really interesting. And I'm partly doing that. I didn't want to send that guitar to have this work done. I'm paying for this. But I want to partly do it as well to make the video, to say, hey, this is what I've discovered about this element of the guitar. Is it something you should consider when you buy a guitar or not? Because there's just no information out there about this topic, and I wanted to cover it. So we'll see if that pays off or not. I don't think it will. I think it'll be an incredibly niche video, but it's something that I want to make a video about. So that's why I'm doing it. We all need the courage to make mistakes. There's something you can't practice. Well, you know, a live gig, you should make mistakes. Some people say that you should deliberately make a mistake straight away, so then you're not worried about making another mistake. But I just want to be, I want to be so practiced, that so rehearsed, that my songs always have a certain polish to them. I always know what solo I'm going to play. I always know what the melody of the song is. And then if I do go flat in one song, or if I do hit a wrong note because I'm improvising, that's fine. But like Tommy Emmanuel says, you should learn the song exact. You should learn that original version exactly and nail that and have that all in your head and all ready to go. And then if you want to deviate and try something crazy on the gig and mess it up, that's fine. But if you mess up because you haven't practiced enough, that's really just, I think that's a bit more like laziness personally. I'll get a looper for sure. I like your content. Super picky too. Just an audio engineer, but knowing how instruments work helps you make better decisions. Of course. Oh yeah, if you haven't got a looper, you have to get one. Actually, the Ditto X2 just came back in stock on Sweetwater, but you can use anything as a looper. If you get something like, so many pedals now have loopers built in, so you just need one that sounds like the guitar. You know, most of them do now. Most of them are high quality. You can get very cheap ones now that sound great too on Amazon. You just want to have that going through so you can actually listen and not be playing the guitar at the same time. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. It's been great as always. Thank you for joining me. As I always say, if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Let's just run that one more time. Oh, at the top of the screen, I put my professional email. You can get in touch if you want to do like a collaboration, sponsored video or anything. There's my email up there. Please don't send questions. Please bring your questions to the live stream. That's why I do them on Mondays, so we can share it with everyone else, and also to save me time as well. Future videos, subscribe and ring the bell. You'll be notified of when I post a video or go live. I go live every Monday at 4 o'clock unless I have a gig. So thank you. I really appreciate it as always. Hopefully have some more news next week. They're the big things that I'm looking forward to. Quad Cortex firmware, Voice i3 Extreme coming back into stock. I can't wait for that. Also, those new Mate and Master builds, I'm excited for them. And what else? I've heard some rumors of things that are coming between now and September. Like, sound pretty cool. I don't know what they are. I've just been told there's some cool stuff coming from certain companies, but they didn't tell me what. I'm not good enough to know what that stuff is yet. I'm not privy to the information. Just looking at that one, great time. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for your input. That's great to hear you're using that pedal and how it's working, because I don't know. And even if I do know, I don't use it in the exact same way that you do. So that's great. Thank you to Rosanna and Lee for moderating. Really appreciate it. As always. One last question. Is it true that Tusk saddles are better for undersaddle piezo pickups due to their consistent density? Quickly. So Tusk is the artificially made, synthetic material. Most people use bone. Yes, it's true that if you think about bone can vary in its density. So a piece of bone isn't consistent. You might have a part of the bone saddle which is weaker not as dense as the rest. That won't translate so much energy through it. So the undersaddle pickup will be weaker in that note. The Tusk will be consistent all the way through the saddle. So you have a much more even volume. I used to think this was a load of rubbish said by brands because they wanted to save money and use Tusk over bone. Because I imagine that high quality bone saddles are more expensive than Tusk saddles. So I used to think this was a load of rubbish. But actually, now I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. And I've done a lot of comparisons with bone and Tusk saddles. I personally, again, I love the idea of a bone saddle. It's more, what guitars have come with. It's in the mind, it's the better solution. But a Tusk saddle for me sounds a good one, cut right, level, sounds great. The most important thing with an undersaddle pickup is that the saddle has to be completely flat. This guitar behind me sounds really good, but the mid-range was a bit weird. And I put it up to the light with a straight edge, and I can see a slight gap, very like a hairline gap, where the light's bleeding through, and that means that the saddle isn't connecting with the undersaddle pickup. So that's why this guitar is going to have that sanded down and made level. That's the most important thing. But yeah, you know what? You know what you do? If you've got a bone saddle, but done the saddle pickup, and the notes are even and everything's great, then stick with it. I'd rather have the bone saddle. If there's any kind of questionable issue, use the tusk saddle because it will definitely be more consistent. All right. Thank you, Manfred Manchester. Thank you, Boomer. And thanks to the moderators. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week, if not before. Take care and be well. Bye-bye.
I need a holiday is what she said to me. I need to get away from you. And as I watched her lying next to me,